Good morning, class. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create the Thanksgiving spreadsheet, the assignment that is due, and hopefully you guys can complete it by the time the break is over. The assignment might seem daunting with these 2 pages in PDF, but I'm going to show you step by step how to create each item and how to create all of the calculation needed for you to succeed in this assignment. So let's get started. Let's start by creating a brand new spreadsheet. We're going to name this spreadsheet the Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to type in our last name, and then ideally you're going to type in the class that you're part of. The first thing we want to do is giving our spreadsheet a title. So on the first cell, A1, we're going to type in Thanksgiving dinner. Now, we want to make sure that the Thanksgiving dinner is centered in our spreadsheet, but we don't know how many columns we are going to need. If we look at our instruction, we see that we need A, B, C, D, and E column. We are going to also need 3 additional columns for the totals. So that's a total of 8 columns. So we need to make sure that our Thanksgiving dinner is centered within 8 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to merge these 8 columns together. The way we do that is we select the first one, and then we're going to move our mouse all the way to H. When all of the first row is selected, we're going to click the merge cell. Now that all cells are merged, we're ready to center our title. We do so by clicking the horizontal alignment, and we're going to click center. We want to make sure that our Thanksgiving dinner is a different size. If we're looking at our instruction, it requests that the size should be 16 and italic. So we're going to change the font to size 16, and we're going to make sure it's size 16, and we're going to make sure it's italicized. Now we're ready to move forward and start typing the headers for each one of our columns. The headers are the following: number of serving, food, calorie, fat grams, carb grams, and then we're going to have 3 additional columns: total calorie, total fat grams, and total carb grams. First one is number of serving. The other column is the food item. Then we have calories. Then we have fat grams. And then we have carb grams. As I said before, we need 3 additional columns: total calorie, total fat gram, and lastly, total carb gram. As you can see, the sum of the items don't quite fit inside the cell. So we want to make sure that all the columns have a proper size. Instead of doing all of the columns individually, we can select all of the columns together, and then we can just move our mouse between A and B and slightly move the mouse to the right. Now all our columns have a pretty good size. We're ready to start typing in all our food items, all our calorie, fat grams, and carb gram, as is displayed here in our instruction. Now that we have all our items, that we have all our calories and everything in our document, we are ready to start calculating our totals. I'm not worried yet about the formattings. I just want to make sure that we create the proper calculation. I want to remind that the first spreadsheet that we are creating is the master spreadsheet. We are not going to put any serving item here, but we're still going to be using this column. Once again, no serving item in this column. We're going to then put the serving item when we move to the next step. So how do I calculate the total calorie? Well, the total calorie depending on the amount of serving that I consume for any particular item. So it is a multiplication of the calorie multiplied by the number of serving. In order to do so, there are a couple ways to do that. Number one is we can insert a function. We're going to scroll down till we see math, and we're going to scroll down till we see the product function. We're then going to select calorie. We're going to use the comma. Remember, we need always use a comma when we select multiple cell. And we're going to select the blank number of serving. We're going to push enter. Another way to calculate is clicking the equal sign, start typing in the product function. It will appear in the list. And now we can ready to calculate the fat grams. The fat grams are a calculation of the fat grams, comma, and the number of serving. Enter. And so for the carb grams, it is equal to the product of the carb grams, comma, and the number of serving. Enter. Now that we have the top three calculation completed, we are ready to copy this formula to each one of our food items. Instead of then recreating the formula, I can select the first one. You notice this little blue square. I can click on the blue square and I'm going to drag it down to all of my food items. The calculation is automatically copied to each one of my row. I'm going to do the same thing for the carb grams and the fat grams. Done. Okay, so next thing in our list is we need to add a total for each one of my three columns. So we're going to skip one row. We're going to type in total. Now I want the total of these three rows over here. I'm going to highlight them in yellow for you. You don't have to do that in your assignment if you don't want to. So how do I calculate the total? I need to add up all of these items together. If I select the first item and then I scroll down and I select them all, I can now select the sum function and click enter. It automatically adds all of the items together. I'm going to do the same thing for the other two columns. I'm going to do the same thing for the fat grams. And I'm going to click sum. I'm going to push enter. And I'm going to do the same thing for the carb grams. Function, sum, enter. I have completed the first step of my assignment. I have the total calorie and I have my total over here. Now let's move to step number 2. Step number 2 is for us to have the following: calorie 2000, fat gram 65, and carb 300. These are the recommended daily allowance, or RDA. What it means is that on a daily typical diet, you're only supposed to have 2000 calories, 65 grams of fat, and 300 carbs. So let's reproduce this portion in our spreadsheet. I'm going to skip another row and I'm going to type in RDA. And then based on my assignment, I have a calorie, fat, and carbs. I'm going to type in calorie, fat, and carbs. If I look back at my spreadsheet, I see that my calories are 2000 per day. My fat are only 65 per day, and my carbs are only 300 per day. I'm going to highlight this. Once again, you don't have to do so that it sticks out for you guys to see. These numbers are going to stay the same. Now we're ready to move to step number 3. Step number 3 is the percentage of RDA, calorie, RDA grams of fat, and RDA carb grams that I consume during the Thanksgiving dinner. This particular percentage is a calculation of my total calorie divided by the RDA. Once again, the percentage of RDA calorie is a division of the total calorie I consume divided by the calorie recommended. So right now, I'm going to type in just this: percentage of RDA calorie, percentage of RDA grams of fat, and percentage of RDA carb grams. Skip one column. My apology. Percentage of RDA calorie. I'm going to change this one, percentage of RDA fat grams. And lastly, percentage of RDA carbs. Now, we're going to need to create a calculation in the following cell for my 3 calculation. Once again, this is a division. The easy way is to insert a function. We're going to insert math. We're going to find the quotient. Quotient is also a division. We're going to find the quotient function. We're going to select the total calorie, comma, divided by the RDA of calorie. Enter. Don't worry about if the number doesn't appear to be okay. You will notice that when we move on to creating the other 2 spreadsheet, how this number is going to change. So for the RDA of fat grams, we're going to create a division equal the quotient of the fat grams, comma, and the RDA of fat grams. Enter. Same thing for the carb grams. Equal the quotient of the total carb grams, comma, and the carb grams. Enter. Now we have everything we need to create the other 2 spreadsheet. The other 2 spreadsheet, based on the assignment, are the Jack and Judy Thanksgiving dinner. We want to find out how much they have consumed during their Thanksgiving dinner. So how do we do this? Well, we need to create another spreadsheet identical to this. The easy way to do this is clicking in the bottom. You see this little green down arrow? You're going to click on it and you're going to click duplicate. We're going to rename this by clicking the arrow again, and we'll click rename, and we're going to rename it Jack. Now in Jack dinner, we are ready to type in all the items that Jack eaten for the particular day. So let's see what did Jack eat for Thanksgiving. Jack ate 3 helpings of turkey, 2 of ham, and 2 of dressing. So 3 helpings of turkey, 2 of ham, and yes, the dressing is the cornbread stuffing, and 2 of cornbread. Let's keep going. He had 1 help of mashed potato and gravy on the dressing and mashed potato. So 1 helping of mashed potato. He had gravy on both the dressing and the mashed potato. That means 2 servings of gravy. He had 4 rolls, 1 green bean casserole. Type in 4 raw, 1 green bean casserole, 2 help of mac and cheese, and 1 piece of pumpkin pie. 2 help of mac and cheese, 1 piece of pumpkin pie, and he also has 2 pecan pie with whipped cream on each. So he had 2 pieces of pecan pie and 2 pieces of whipped cream. Now notice how all of these numbers have changed and all our calculations too have changed. This is how you're going to create the spreadsheet that are needed for the assignment. The next step is for you to duplicate again sheet number 1, call it Judy, and enter all the items that Judy eated for Thanksgiving.